Yeah, hi again. I think decided to make those video logs, and I thought it could be interesting to show my first project, othercastle, also my first ROM hack. And I thought I can tell how I made it, how I started it. So I was very new to the scene. I did read the article on romhack.net where Red Guy described his editor, and there was a lot on this page, and I didn't understand everything. My English is not that good, and it was a lot. And as I started this, I didn't know you could go back and forwards on the levels. So the first thing I did was playing it through and saved every level, and I loaded the level later to. That was very unfortunate, but let's not talk too much about all my mistakes. Let's talk about things I actually made better. The block editor was the first thing I was toying around with. You see, like the door is just made out of these two tiles here. I found here, so I didn't put in any extra drawings. I just recreated the scene. What I found out very late was also that you can press B and you can edit the background. I discovered this very late too. I was reading it up later when I was reading the page about it second time. Yeah, and I started actually making a game called Castlevania Revisit because I just wanted to change the levels up to a point where you don't recognize them. My first attempt went very poorly. I think I made it up to level the, to stage 3 and realized that it was very bad. And I started again and put more time into changing the platforming up to a point where you don't really recognize it. It was very different from the original. Like here, you have to go up, and if you fall down, you have to redo the things. Also, a lot of things came in later, and I did redo a lot of some parts of the level. Like in the beginning, I didn't know that you could make levels bigger because in the property editor you have the entrance and you can choose how big you want your level. Like, oh yeah, you want to have a little more, you can make it a little bigger, like this. And then I was also toying around with but I showed this in other levels. You can change the level type, and this will change a lot of the properties, how screen scrolling works, and the size of the level. You can just make it bigger. Maybe even the mode where it runs the game. I don't know. There may be. I'm still a very noobish hacker, so mm, also on these levels, I made them early. Later, I had the idea, oh yeah, I can put exits. I made stairs here where they put you on the start. And the idea was to have extended level up here, but it did interfere with the stuff I had below here. I had to move all down, and in the end, I thought it's not worth the effort, and I let it be. And because it was coming in very late, the whole concept was not really laid out for it, that you have different paths and things. And I thought I will focus on this maybe on a later project. On this point, I never knew how camera locks worked till way later, so I could rearrange it a little bit later, but I didn't made a lot with camera locks in this level. Yeah, a lot of time just went into it looking at what you have, like trying to draw a tree with the tiles and blocks you have, rearrange blocks, finding material, like you have the bridge, there were these little logs, wooden things, and you could change the palette. They would like stone, and they made those things out of them, just a little more aesthetics. Yeah, when I look back, I mean, I'm not really proud of those levels. There were a lot of experience how to make levels. It's still to this day, I think this level is way too trolly. It's not really fun to play. There is a mushroom you can discover. I found this very funny in the beginning that you have this messed up part, and when you have the spawn point here, you will trigger a boss event that will load all the other sprites from the boss, and the enemies will have some of the sprites on them, and it will look very funky. And when I discovered this, it was, well, I think for a player, it's not really that fun. They don't know what's going on, so but it's I left it in as a Easter egg. But here you already see that I didn't have much ideas what to do in the level, so already parts they're still the same as in the original. One reason for this was also this bridge, because the bridge event you cannot change the position where those things swing. Yeah, so it turned out very similar. Also, this stage I didn't change much because as soon as I try to change something, you have this early event here, that is the water event, that draws these bubbles in the water. And when they go over a pit, they try to draw the bubbles on the block below. Like they try to, and here there is no ground, and the bubbles can only be drawn on the ground. When there is no block below it, it will lag like crazy, and I didn't know what's going on. And in the end, I didn't know how to change the level at all, and I just had to skip it. And actually, right now, when I know how to deal with those things, my new project is one of my favorite levels to make something with. Yeah, this level was a little bit more little. I only wanted to have different paths to go in the beginning, and later I found out you can have different exits and things, and then I made parts where you could go on a different part in the next stage. But I'm more or less happy with this stage. I think it's very interesting to play. The platforming is actually fun to play, more or less. No, those tr- troll bats don't need really to be there, I think. But there is not really very much to say about it. And this was the level where I first discovered that you can press B and to redo the background. And I made also these wooden rail things. The one bad part, I did draw the whole level like it is now, and I messed up the exit event, the event number 50. I don't know, I moved them around. I don't know. I didn't know that you could access the level exit and transit here. I don't know what happened. I couldn't fix it. I had to redraw the whole thing. I did load the save, and always when I loaded the save, it was broken. I was sad. It's a lot of work to find out where all those blocks go. And in the beginning, it was like I didn't know that you even have the scene editor. I never looked that there's a number down there and where to go. Actually, I found out here. So when you have to do the background, so you know where to go, and you can place those pieces actually very quick. when you finally figure out how to work with it. And maybe a lot of people think what this means here, cannot hit this. It's like, I see Drunken Draconian here, she wanted to hit the upper part. I thought that it had no chance. And if you do a ring glitch here, you can't hit this spot here. So you can't get up, that's why it's there. But yeah, player just confused by it. Like with the other thing I put in. Maybe I could explain those very quick. Hmm. Here is another sign. Uh, this one, it only shows 4 dots and the arrow over it, and that's where you pick up the potion. And with the potion it's possible to jump over one more block. So you could actually jump over here. That's a hint I wanted to give. So people will be more likely to figure that out. Yeah, and there was actually not much else going on. Just changed the level layout, tried to make the platforming fun. And on this level it was actually not too bad, but it's still very similar to the original, since I didn't copy events a lot, and I really still have the habit to leave things how they are, so that they're not being broken. Or I had it until one point where I liked it, and then I didn't want to change it up anymore, so I just wanted to go on. There was one thing I had, the exit's not working right on my room, and I had a very, very long time till Red Guy helped me to figure out why, and I needed a patch, and after that they started to work right. So I think I spent hours and hours and hours just to figure out why those exit events didn't work. Another thing is this head is actually drawn in the editor. I did draw it in here, pixel by pixel. Since back then I was not very good at external editing, I would not do it like this anymore. I just use it for quick drawing, but to draw a head in here, it's actually very challenging to get the pixels right. Now this is a mode 7 room where you can change palettes. You cannot change a lot here really until you go and do it in a hex editor. That's one thing. I think this was the level where I started to put in the speed potion, and I really liked it. And it really fits the theme to this level somehow. Yeah, it was Drunken Draconian's idea to make a speed potion. Red Cat did it, and then later I saw it on Discord, picked it up, worked with it. Couldn't use the internal emulator and was broken with that, and he patched it, so it was now everything works well really. Everything is like a charm now. And this is the first level where I really changed a lot of the background too. I made all those Tetris pieces. The right block looks still the same as it did in the beginning. Yeah, I tried to create a maze, but that you would find your way sooner or later. I thought it was kind of obvious after you spend some time with it where you have to go. So it's not a level where you should get stuck, but it should not be a level where you really just go speed through. It should be challenging and rewarding when you complete it. And I think, yeah, But I think the most players just have fun when they see Tetris pieces, and it makes them like the level anyway. I'm not sure just the level out. I like the beginning where you get squashed, and you most likely, if you don't do anything stupid, you will get through. But you will have the situation, oh, do I get squashed or not? This makes the game interesting. And then you come to the later part here, where you have different paths to choose. But this was actually a part where a lot of people got confused where to go, and they got squashed because they've been confused, and they got frustrated in the game. Yeah, so I'm not sure. This was the first level I never used the palette editor in the whole game, sadly, because I was really scared to use it because I was thinking the whole ROM uses the same palettes, and when I change something, everything else will be changed too. I think I changed some palettes on Simon Sprite, and that's all. I don't know. I didn't really play around with it a lot, but I think I should have played around more. So it's a very powerful tool. I used the palettes I already had, and I changed just every tile, the palette on them, like in this editor. So everything was green. I never really liked the blue how it was in the original. I think green would fit more. But now, yeah, the thing looks like you're in a jungle jungle biome somehow. The level itself is not really, yeah, it's still very similar to the original. On this part here, it's very trolly to go through. Enemies will spawn up here. You know, this is level where they spawn in the x-axis, the events, and when you walk here, all the events spawn, and those enemies up here will fly down here and troll you when you try to. Yeah, it's kind of interesting dynamic, but not really a great level. And here I have a secret when you damage boost. I think this is the most interesting thing about that. Or the thing when you walk, and actually when you play it, you don't see the hole very good. Maybe I show it off very quick. Since yeah, you see the hole, and then you walk, usually just fall down. Oh, what happened? That's what's happened to most players. Yeah, I never tried to see if those animations can be changed now. Yeah, after that level there will be a Gabon fight, since I wanted the stage to end with a boss fight. And also another thing I couldn't change was the castle map, and it's kinda confusing there too. I think there is not really much to say about this level, or maybe you want to know about the secret. If you change this is the animations for the secret to appear. Then it will be spikes, but actually there are still stairs, even when they are spikes in here. The event will make the hitboxes as stairs. But I kind of felt like it fits the theme, since the secret is like there is a secret exit to a very difficult part of the castle, and there is also the part where you need the dog to. If you get the potion, you cannot get hurt by spikes. You can go to the left side, get the dog, and boost you out and take the shortcuts. But you can also choose to boost to the right. You have to leave the dog alive. Boost the five block hole there to get to the next part. Like walking the dog out the castle. Then you would have to face the very difficult part back here. In the beginning, I never had a stopwatch here, and it was impossible almost. to get it, or he had needed some luck. Then he would have come up here and had all these power-ups. Yeah. Also, the graphics are not changed. Those statues are just reassembled, since you can put this piece two together and you have a man like this one, or you put the other pieces together and you have a fat lady. That's how that worked. And this is a more interesting level since this was the level where it was the I don't know the level type anymore, but it was the thin one where you just go down, and I changed it to the level type what the waterfall was, and I made this big climb section with secret shortcuts in there. And I changed up the block to white and made this section with the books. And I'm very happy with this section. It's really different. You don't recognize it as the original. We'll call it one of the good levels I made. There are some, but this one I think it's really good. Since here there are a lot of similar parts. Yeah, I did change the background too a lot when I made those levels. And I didn't have any idea what to do with this enemy here. It just lacks the room. What I did is like I made this window, and when you jump here, you will go slow, and most likely this spawn this enemy anyway, because I just want to get rid of it. Really, I couldn't think of anything funny to do with him. He's totally random where he goes. He needs six hits to kill on his head. It's just not fun. I couldn't think of anything fun to do with him actually. Then I didn't make this troll part. When you walk, you will fall down and things. Now this is the part where you have a secret in again, where you can just get it with the potion. I made this jump very hard. Maybe I should have made it easier, since you have to get the potion anyway. This is one thing I would do different now. Now the boss fight, if you wonder how to get rid of the... I did redraw him here since I needed him, but being on another location and the animations being taken out of the block editor. I think red guy arranged it, that you can just change it like this. It's very nice. Yeah, stage 8. Made a new stage 8. Very late I found out you can put wall meat also in the background. In the very latest update I made this pillar look scrambled. So actually people would find it. Before it was just hidden. Yeah, usually I just moved things around. I didn't really... The stages are a lot just very similar to the original. Like this one, the whole part here is just what I did is filling out gaps so you cannot just fall down. And put in those stair events. I put them in the background where you can hit the things in the background, but very confusing again. Not sure if it was a good design choice, but it's something. It's surprising, so I'm sure it's not bad. And I also put the rotating room on the left side here for no particular reason. I think it's for player mostly confusing why there is something. And I thought it's funny because the room turns and you come out on the same exit where you went in. It just wastes time. But you can get extra lives and health if you spawn a lot, but you can also get it when you go up and down the stairs. I never liked the Vegas bridge that much since I think you can just get unfair patterns. They made three blocks in here that stay, and it still feels challenging. I would have liked to make it bigger, like this, but bigger. So you really have to focus. Then it would be fun again and not unfair. But this would need use of a hex editor and looking up the events and how it works, and maybe you can draw more spawns of this on another location. Maybe something to do in the next project if I can figure out how it works. Yeah, we're still very similar stage design. One thing I did change, I was lucky that it works the same here. Like you have this event that will spawn this block on top of this block. And then it was a hole. I'm not sure. No, it just has to make this a hole and it can fall through the whole thing. Like death trap. And on this part, lot of people remember this because it was way more little. And I made it another level type, so I had more um, to draw on. Maybe I'd show this very quick. If you have, for example, 8 and you save it, then you will change it to 1 to 4. The size will be totally different. Another level scrolling, a lot of the level will be totally different. But sometimes you just want to have a more space to draw on, and then you can change the level type and see if it works for you. I don't know if I should talk about properties here. Just change it back again. Save. But I also used this, I really learned to do camera lock events. I thought for me have been very hard to learn. 31, see you have sub FD1, and then you have the trigger, and then you have to choose is the trigger on a X or on a Y axis, and which direction goes the trigger, where is the trigger, which side you want the lock to expand, and then I covered it in my tutorial. I usually use a document just to see again. A0 means left, A2 means right, because even after using it sometimes, I can never remember this. I always need to have a document to help me with that. And if you have events, in the beginning I made it very complicated till I figured out actually how to work with it. You can just select it, add an event, put it middle mouse button, put it where you want. Then you have to sort the events since they load in order depending on how the level is. Yeah, everything took me very long to figure out actually. That was the main reason why I decided to write a documentation. Because I thought maybe there is another noob like me coming, trying things, and I don't want him to suffer like I did. So just to figure out how things work. Yes, that's also. I really had a lot of fun testing, and I got very good at ring mechanics, and I really fun doing them. But actually, I ramped up the difficulty with the things way, way too fast. This thing should be removed actually. I already found because I made an easy mode now. This I could never decide how difficult I want to make it because I want to have players with more experience to have a good time, good challenge. And I also want to have the casual player to experience it. And you cannot really, you can combine it, but it's difficult. And it's easier to just make two versions. But yeah, this should be only for easy mode. If you fall down, you don't actually don't fall through. What makes the whole thing of the setup stupid. Then easy mode too, you can fall down, just jump around down here on sinking treasure. I also had fun with the potion and the rings. Actually, you can ring glitch up here and take a shortcut. Was personally, I really like the shortcut. I don't get it always, but I think it's nice to pull off. Also, the platforming here, are you swinging without stopping? When you know how, it's actually very fun to speedrun. And I really like this fast-paced execution bits. I should really focus doing them on my new project too. I already started different because I don't know. Sometimes you have a level idea and you just roll with it. Then later you find out, oh, it's actually not a great level or just for a particular player. Yeah, I don't know. Mm, the fun part is like with the secrets. I made actually a level. I just made it bigger. And it's a speed potion level where you have to do platforming, difficult platforming, and you have to suck holes. That's actually just from here. If you go with the good, no, normal pace, they will they will never have a problem till here. Whereas depending on your RNG of if this activates earlier or not, you will have some trouble there. And the same thing, like I had really fun with the rings and that idea of this level. And it's way too advanced for a casual player, but it was really fun for me to make. And it's still challenging to this day, doing it without sub-weapon. In the beginning I never had sub-weapon and I wished in the beginning of the levels you could remove sub-weapons, so I'm sure the player had to go here without sub-weapon and really make it through that section without. But you can play low percent if you want this experience. It works. The spiky level, they're a little mixed up, they're not in order. This was way harder in the beginning. You don't have any wiggle room. The spikes been way more down here, maybe far more far up. You really had very limited movement that made it very frustrating for a lot of players. I think a lot of people appreciate that it made it easier after, but it's still challenging. Another thing is the shortcut. When you have the potion, spikes don't hurt you. You can go back here, and then you have to perform the section. But first, it is hard execution. Like you have to do ring glitch. In this environment, from one ring, you have to go glitch through the wall, ring glitch up here, go in here, avoids. You have to get damage boosted to the enemy. Take the potion. As soon as you hit the potion, you can get hit again. You have to avoid the enemy, jump out, and ring glitch up here, or go the bottom path and ring glitch up here. And if you do it really good, you may be faster than the other route. But actually, it may not be even true since you have can. You are very fast with the speed potion through that part here, since you can very easily ring glitch up here. And it's way easier than this part, very less time consuming. I would guess that this part actually is faster. I never tested. I was never really good at this execution. Never tested it to the point where I should have. Yeah, this was a part that was very hard for me to do since I had this level with different screen scrolls, and the screen scrolls depends on the camera lock on the camera level. I just wanted to have here a nice flow of the. Can you even see it? Oh, here you see it. Yeah, it's the sky. And if you go up here, you have the gears turning, and you have to work with camera locks for it to look right. From here, you have a lot of blocks that cover you, and you go behind the scene. And I just wanted to create the illusion of depth, but actually looked a bit not really very good at this level. It looks funky, but still somehow okay. It's also the part where you have two left exits, and it seems to work in this thing for some reason. Two right. No, there's just one right exit, but you have an exit from the left. That doesn't spawn this. Oh yeah, sure it works. In the beginning, I had some trouble to set up those things. Really invested sometimes a lot of trial and error just to make things work. But it might also be because I'm not very bright sometimes. It just takes me very long to figure this stuff out. And also things I could note, I didn't show it in everything. If you go to the scene editor, this scene, yeah, where you choose the blocks, this is a very big mess in the beginning, and I spend a lot of time just sorting or arranging things out. And here I did a lot of arrangement just for a very little level. It's very sad. I just used it to build those towers. I wanted to make it bigger, but at the point I didn't have much level ideas. And I think you only have bats. What makes it challenging to create an interesting level. But it would still be possible, I'm sure. But in the end, I want just to get it done too. I think also this level is a bit rushed, but I still like how it is. But I did look what Drunken Draconian did. I think I did look up, just make it look a bit nicer how he did it and a bit easier to execute. In the top I even left like in the original. Not really a big fan of the ending. Since the boss fights too, like drag fight does not change at all. The main reason for that I did make changes once, and I did use the emulator to test it up here, and everything was screwed up. And I did back up the room after, and I didn't try it again, but I think it was not that bad. It's just I I still didn't test it to this day though. How much you really can change up here without screwing the whole thing up. Yeah, death was for boss for stage B. For stage A clock tower. They just made the entrance on the right side. Didn't use the left side though. Just for the exit. Yeah, it may be a bit boring just to talk about those things, how they went for me, but I thought I can still show it off. Hope it helps somebody.